Hello and welcome to episode 131. Oddly, the British author Ian Watson may be best known today for his various novels in the Warhammer 40,000 setting. Long before he flirted with the grim darkness of the far future, Watson carved a space for himself as one of the most intellectually challenging and formidable British SF writers of the 1970s. This episode covers Watson's bracing debut novel, The Embedding. Originally published in 1973, it's a startling combination of linguistics, anthropology, geopolitics, and first contact with alien life. With settings in the UK, the US, Brazil, and in space, it's an expansive and ambitious debut posing big questions about humankind's search for meaning and a place in the universe. It also features a gonzo fusion of drugs, language theory, sex, and political violence. J.G. Ballard once described Watson as the UK's only SF writer of ideas, and The Embedding is definitely packed with those. In England, a team of scientists conduct unethical experiments on children secluded from the outside world. In Brazil, American engineers threatened by left-wing guerrilla fighters attempt to complete a massive new dam. In the rainforest threatened by the dam, an enigmatic tribe awaits the birth of a new messiah. In deep space, an alien intelligence receives and analyses transmissions from Earth. The world stands on the brink of an incredible breakthrough, but will it be transformative or destructive? As David Pringle wrote, it seemed in the mid-1970s that the world was Ian Watson's oyster. He began his SF writing career with Roof Garden Under Saturn, a story published in New Worlds magazine in 1969. Published by Gollancz in 1973, The Embedding is Watson's striking and sometimes shocking debut novel. As the Science Fiction Encyclopedia put it, the book very early confirmed his stature as an SF writer of powerful intellect. Very much a novel of the soft sciences, The Embedding has a complex plot which braids together narratives dealing with linguistics, anthropology, colonialism and resistance, as well as first contact with alien life. Watson explores language, perception and the pursuit of meaning on various scales, from a closed-off lab to an Amazon village to an alien civilization which journeys the cosmos on the shifting tides of space itself. The Embedding has a complex story which is primarily organised into three plot threads, which are initially only slightly connected but which become braided together. The first thread is set primarily in the UK and follows Chris Soule, a British linguist working at the Haddon unit. A secretive research facility attached to a working hospital, the unit is experimenting on children who are kept entirely closed off from the outside world. Soule has imposed on these children a constructed language based loosely on English but grammatically reorganised by computer. The second thread is set in Brazil and focuses on American engineer Charlie Faith and his Brazilian deputy Jorge Almeida. They're working on the Amazon project, a vast system of dams being funded by the United States and forcibly implemented with the help of the local military government. The third thread is also set in Brazil. Pierre Dariand is a French anthropologist studying the secluded Zamahoa people. He's particularly fascinated by a variant of their language, Zamahoa B, which is used only in ceremonies facilitated by a potent local drug. Dariand does not realise that he's the father of a son that his former friend Chris is raising as his own. While each of the characters grapple with their own crises, an external element intrudes. Soule is alerted by an NSA agent that contact has been made with an alien intelligence. The linguist is essentially conscripted into an effort to make contact with the beings who prove to be obsessed with language. They offer a grim bargain to humankind, formidable technology and the coordinates of habitable worlds in exchange for 6 live, disembodied human brains. Events in every plot thread rapidly escalate, in part due to their connections with this momentous exchange. What unites many of the deeply flawed characters, and the aliens, is their craving for meaning, for a grasp on language that will enable them to better understand the universe and their place within it. Watson's novel raises the questions of whether humankind is worthy of this knowledge, what they would do to obtain it, and whether they would abandon it in order to preserve the status quo. The Embedding is arguably a far more effective and compelling use of linguistics in science fiction than other efforts like Samuel R. Delany's Babel 17 from 1966 and Suzette Hayden Elgin's Native Tongue from 1984. Like other SF treatments of language, Watson's novel deals partly with the so-called Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, or linguistic relativity, which suggests that a person's notion of reality is structured by the language they speak. The novel's human and alien characters, each in their own way, seek a language that will unveil some truer knowledge of the universe. The aliens in particular are pathologically driven by this quest, which has taken them to numerous inhabited star systems. The pursuit of knowledge comes with a large cost. The alien culture has been warped by it, and Chris Soule is driven to highly unethical experimentation. Pierre Dariand, though an anthropologist, is obsessed partly by Zamahoa B, and crosses his own ethical lines. While the novel's opening can seem overly dry or academic in tone, no prior knowledge of linguistics or other disciplines is necessary to enjoy the embedding once it gathers pace. Watson's chosen title comes from the term center embedding and has several resonances in the story. The embedding is as much about people as it is about language. It's suffused with political and personal conflicts, as well as questions about the future of the human species. The novel's anthropological element examines multiple different kinds of societies and groups, from the supposedly primitive Amazonian tribe to the apparatus of the US security state. The novel has a strong geopolitical element, in which the powerful manipulate the affairs of lesser societies in order to secure their own interests. After contact with the aliens begins, the embedding widens its scope. It raises questions about humanity's worthiness for venturing beyond the Earth, and how trustworthy it will be in its interactions with other intelligences. At no point does Watson's novel indulge in the wish fulfillment typical of much SF. It's clear that human greed and lust for power poses a deep threat to the lofty goals of exploration and understanding. The Embedding is a truly striking first novel. Rooted in Watson's encounters with linguists, anthropologists, and even his experiences with LSD, it's tremendously ambitious in its scope. This is a difficult novel to summarise or even to pass. In its 250 pages it covers enormous intellectual ground, while telling a story that's compelling, and especially in its endgame, genuinely shocking. Thanks for listening to this episode. You can find more of my writing in text and audio form at my site andyjohnson.xyz. You can also find me on Twitter at andyjohnsonuk, and you can support me at patreon.com/andyjohnson. Catch you next time.